All right, hello, folks. Glad to see everyone back, and give me just a moment to get everything straightened out on my end. So make sure it all goes good. All right, I believe we are now live on Facebook and in Books of Horror, so everything's good. I am joined tonight with Miss London Blue. Glad to have you on. If you would, please introduce yourself to everyone and tell them what you're all about.
Well, hey guys, I am London Blue, and I am a dark fiction author, Appalachian, and most all of my stories take place in the Appalachian Mountains, or at least the Appalachian area. Started out writing a little more, poetry, and did some more splatter type stories, and then decided to go to a softer, cozier type horror. And now I'm leaning more towards young adult. So having fun with that.
And we need more middle grade young adult writers in the horror field, absolutely.
Most of my work is, or the newer work, just kind of borderline between middle grade and young adult. I try to keep it subtle.
Right. Just like
Sometimes I have to go in and re-edit some sections out to keep it more subtle.
Absolutely. Especially if you're switching from like more adult and bringing it down to the middle grade or YA level. I'm sure you have to restrain yourself a little bit, or maybe pick some different wordings of how you would depict things. But
Correct.
it's the type of horror that we all fell in love with, most likely at a young age. So very
Exactly.
important, in my opinion.
Exactly. Of course, that was watching Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that when it first came out, when I was very young. Yeah, I'm an old fart.
I mean, from a young age, I don't know if this speaks to me or parenting, but I was like watching some Faces of Death and up all night marathons with Rhonda Shear, mostly Friday the 13th, or you know, Maximum Overdrive is one for sure, and Sleepaway Camp, and all that was my formative youth in my watching. So
Absolutely, 100%. And yes, that I was raised by a divorced mother, a single mom, and a lot of times she was working two jobs to put food on the table, or she was asleep at night when the cool movies came on. So
yep, I had a TV in my room, so I'm like, I mean, it was cable USA something, So if it was on TV, it's all right to watch, right?
right.
So, so you touched on it just a tad bit with your introduction, but what got you started on your writing journey as an author?
Oh wow. I actually started writing back in grade school, and I know a lot of authors say that but I truly, that's how I worked through things when I was a kid. And I started writing poetry and little short, creepy stories. And my sixth grade teacher sent some of my poetry and short stories in for competition without my knowledge. And lo and behold, I won a scholarship for a summer writing program at University of Charleston. And my brother, who's 6 years older than I am, that's all he talked about was going to college. And that was kind of fun to be able to tease him that I got to go to college before he did. So I've been writing ever since I can remember. Started out as poetry, and then I started jotting down short stories. Actually, Mama's Beast, one of the short stories in my first horror book is of Mass Mayhem Maladies. The story Mama's Beast, the kids found when we were going through the filing cabinet several years ago, and they found the original chicken scratch of the story Mama's Beast that I had written in 7th grade on yellow notebook paper written down in black Sharpie. They were like, "Hey, Mom, you should revise this and put it in your book." And so I did.
That's awesome that you still have the writings though, right? So
Some of them, I have some of them. I have like the little writing journal that we wrote in for that summer program.
yeah,
It's kind of neat
cool.
looking back on now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's cool looking back and seeing just like the first steps of when you were being creative in the writing
Right.
field. I think the first time I did anything like that, I was probably maybe late middle school, early high school, and I can't remember, my aunt or something got a bunch of typewriters and the ink ribbon was still good. So I was like, and word processors, ones without screens, those types.
Right.
So I started pegging away at a few stories. I don't know if I still have those or not, but literally it's just stories I made up about me and my friends just to be funny and share them around. So that's it's funny and weird, and because in between then and when I picked it up now, it was like decade, maybe decade plus. So sounds like you were always writing the poetry.
I was.
So you first started getting into prose, like I will say officially 7-8 years ago, or when did you publish Mask Maladies? Oh, did you freeze?
Okay, I'm cutting out. I hope it's not my phone. It usually is.
I did notice a freeze there for a second. So, um, okay,
Jeez,
now
I
you're
don't know.
back.
40. Yeah, sorry about that. Gotta love AT&T service. But yeah, as far as me, I guess it would be like, geez, gonna really make me throw it out there. Probably 40 years ago. That I'm 42 years ago that I started writing.
There you go. So, um, when did you put your first book out? How long ago was that?
The first actual book was in, I think, 2018, and
That's,
it was a book of poetry.
yeah,
Uh,
that's what I was thinking.
yeah.
So,
And then Mass Mayhem Maladies came out in 2020 during COVID. Makes sense. I mean, it was or 2021. It's a book about the pandemic, a very creepy book about the pandemic. And I have a story in there where I came up with a great solution to cure the to cure the COVID. I didn't really call it COVID in the book though.
Yeah.
I made it a lot more dramatic than COVID. But not saying that COVID wasn't dramatic. It's that that was definitely a scary time period. But I was watching my daughter struggle with she wasn't really struggling, but just all the teenagers at that time struggling with having to be stuck in quarantine and not be allowed to go to school and not be allowed to hang out with friends. And so the first story in the book was that one was really geared more towards that mindset of worrying about our teenagers and how all this is going to affect them long term. But don't get me wrong, it's not based on anything that's really true. I mean, there's human deformities, um there's cannibalism, there's a little bit of everything in that book.
Well, there's definitely cannibalism in the world. I mean, we're just a couple of Appalachians, so
Right?
old hat around here.
Never. We would never have anything like that here.
Um, and while you was telling that, I definitely believe you had that book out when we first met. So the classic, famous, cliche, eye-rolling beginning to any great horror story is we met on a dark and stormy night for sure at a haunted attraction called the Haunted Majestic.
That we did. That we did.
It's a dark and stormy night.
Not so sure it was stormy that night. It was cold.
Oh, it was raining. Me and
Oh,
Jeremy
it did rain, didn't it? Hence why
Yeah.
it was cold. Thank goodness we were under their canopy, their shelter.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I do remember that because one of the other authors gave me some plastic sleeves to drop my bags in to help protect them.
I believe that was Miss Lynn Hanson that was saving everybody's books from being ruined. Maybe.
No, I think it was
Definitely me.
I think it was shoot. I don't remember who it was.
But
But
yeah.
I think it was yeah. I'm not going to say because I don't want to mess up.
That was my first event ever, I believe. Just prior, like the fall before the first AuthorCon. And I got to meet so many great people, you being included, Jeremy McGargy,
Yes.
of course. And I don't know if I'd met Paul Lobachowski before that event, but we definitely knew each other. But he was there, and Lynn Hanson, and then you had Coy Hall,
Mm-hmm.
Damian Casey,
Mm-hmm.
and Lindley.
Yes.
And then Jeff Strand and Bridget Nelson were there.
Yeah, it was a good crew. It was a good crew.
It was a good crew. So
yeah, we came away with a lot of good writer friends from that.
yeah,
That's one thing about events that's cool is getting to meet other authors and making connections with them.
Yeah. Yeah, because originally Carver Pike was supposed to be there. He had to cancel. So I moved over to his spot, and that was beside Jeremy. And we were like on the side of the shelter. So we got rained on because it was coming in sideways. So we was like, well, this is fun. But
I guess I was lucky then.
yeah, I was supposed to be in the middle about where you were, like in the middle there. I would have been fine if I'd been there, but I thought it was cool to move over to the bigger spot. So
yeah, I was in the middle between Paul and Damien, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times. Good times.
Good times. So moving
But
on.
but then after Mass Mayhem that same year, I had co-wrote The Last Call with David Musser. So that year I was actually working on Mass Mayhem Melodies and The Last Call at the same time, basically. And The Last Call is a really cool book. Seven strangers mysteriously find themselves in a bar and they're forced to relive their worst sins. And it has multiple points of view in the book too, so that makes it really interesting. I think we pulled it off. I think it's a really good read.
Yep. I've met David. It's been a while since I've talked to him, but yeah, I've met David.
Mm-hmm.
And he was cool to talk to. And yeah, just the premise that you just described sounds amazing. Like,
Yeah,
people
it
should
was
be
it was
people should
definitely an interesting one. And the cover, the picture of the bar on the cover was a picture of that I took of a bar in Marietta, Ohio.
Yeah.
And that was inspiration for my part of the story anyway. The Blue Bar.
So there you go, folks. There's your first recommendation of the night. My next question for you would be: is there any advice you received that helped you in the beginning? And is there a separate piece of advice you would offer to folks now that would be different?
Oh wow. That's a hard one because I've actually been blessed with people like you who are willing to share tips and tricks and things they've learned along the way. Honestly, I think the most part is uh, all of my friends and family tell me that I am literally my worst critic, that I am so hard on myself that I need to shelf that and just keep pursuing the craft and keep writing and keep trying. I guess that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I got from the beginning and I still have to be reminded of today. And yes, and that is one that I completely 100% throw out there. And even though you may think that nobody's reading or nobody's listening, keep going because your book will fall in the right hands, the right eyes will fall upon it, and your words, yeah, will make a difference to somebody somewhere down the line. So just keep at it.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. You're always going to be your harshest critic
Yes.
because you can get into your own head, and you eventually just have to tell that voice to shut up. You know, like try and tune it out as best you can, and just pursue, like you said, pursue the story that you're trying to tell. Absolutely.
Right. Just keep on keeping on.
Essentially, what would be something different other than that you think that people writing or otherwise could benefit from?
Be true to yourself. Be true to your story. Write what's on your heart, write what's in your nightmares, write what's haunting you, and don't worry about what other people are going to think or say. That's my biggest thing is that you just got to keep trying. You've got to keep writing, and you got to be true to yourself. Don't let criticisms stop you. Don't let. I mean, yeah, definitely listen to the criticisms and think about them, consider them, and if it's something that you agree with, then certainly take the advice. And if it's something that you wholeheartedly are against, turn it down. And yes, then all editors out there are probably going to hate me for saying this, but don't be afraid to question your editor. Ask them why they want to change this or why you need to take that out. Yeah, I know Stephen King tells us to kill our little darlings, and sometimes our editors tell us to kill our little darlings. But it's okay to ask why. Number
Yeah.
one, you get to learn from that and maybe not make that same mistake twice. Or you may convince your editor that this should actually stay in. And I guess that's another piece of advice is be sure you get an editor. Hire an editor. That's very important. After all the different drafts that I go through over and over and over, no, it doesn't matter how many times I put my eyes on it. I finish it, set it aside. I go back, I reread it, do preliminary edits. I set it aside. I try to go through it 3 or 4 times myself before I even turn it over to anybody else, and get some trusted beta readers, and then hire an editor. And even after all of that, don't fret if you still find mistakes, because it's going to happen. And I just take I smile when somebody's like, "Well, did you know I found this mistake in your book?" Well, I hope it didn't pull you out of the story. I hope it wasn't a horrible mistake. But on the other hand, at least it wasn't AI.
Right.
I am human. So 100%. Yeah. Get an editor.
Get an editor. There's a few things there you said. Listen to your editor, but also don't be afraid to question your editor. Absolutely.
Right.
So maybe some folks don't know that. So yes, that's an important thing because like when you do that, also like they're going to explain to you where they're coming from because they're not as close to the story as you are. So they are seeing it in a different light. But also, if you don't figure out why they're suggesting this edit, then you're never going to learn to become a better writer from that.
100%. And that's why I say question your editor. In fact, this happened to me on the Appalachian Scary Tales when this guy named RJ Rolls was editing the book. And yeah, you told me that I couldn't write the scene about this dude slipping off into the bedroom to check the diary or whatever. And I'm like, why not? And because the main character wasn't in that room. He was out of the main character's eyesight. And I'm like, okay, so, because in my head, it's playing like a movie. And I'm like, okay, so if it was a movie, then it would just flash to a different scene. But because I questioned you and you explained it to me, it made sense. And your answer was the entire story we had been following that main character and only that main character. Therefore, I couldn't just switch off to a different scene towards the end of the story. And that made 100% sense to me. And I have been even more cautious about that in my future stories or my current stories. So yeah, that's why I say question your editor, because that's how you learn.
Absolutely. And hopefully you get an editor that is willing to explain like that.
Exactly.
Or like understanding the different types of editing there is out there. So there's copy editing, of course, proofreading, and then developmental editing, and then line editing. There's just different aspects to each one, and it depends on what you want for your story. But I would say most writers want like all-encompassing editing. So
yeah, and that does get confusing.
Yeah.
That does get confusing. So it's good to talk to an editor who is good to explain things to you, even something as simple as what you're talking about is describing what the different types of editing processes are, as well as how much they charge for each. So yeah, it's important to have good communication with your editor.
Yep.
But more importantly, make sure you hire an editor.
I'm trying to think, have I turned you on to Tasha?
Yes, Tasha actually has edited my new littles my new series. As you know, or as most people know, or some people know, I also do live interactive storytelling events. A nod back to the 80s Choose Your Own Adventure books. For the past year or so, I have been doing those live, a grown up version of those live in person, to where I'll stop at pivotal points during the story and allow the audience to vote or to pick the path. And for a long time, I have been wanting to put all of those stories into one book. And then I thought, that might get a little confusing trying to put 4 or 5 pick your path tales in one book and having people flipping all over the place.
Yeah.
So I have decided to make littles. I started a whole new collection, or a whole new series, Appalachian Adventures. It is a choose your trail series. And again, I call them my littles because they're littles. But they'll have one interactive tale in each book. This one I was hoping was going to be available at my event next weekend, but I don't know. Amazon is slow on shipping, so I'm not sure if I'll have them. However, one thing that makes these very unique is that during the show, not only does the audience get to pick the path, but they also get scent cards, custom-made scent cards that would help draw you into the story, so that you will get to smell what the characters smell. And in some cases, you even got to eat what the characters eat during the story. Like this one, for example, Greg Fort with Captain Riggs Personal Care, he created the scents for these. And Mason's Chocolate Factory created these really adorable little cake pops in the form of tuxedos and wedding dresses. But these events are like really a lot of fun. But in the back of these little books, I'm going to attach the scent cards for each tale. So when you order them, you can order them through Amazon. Well, you will be able to, but when you order them directly from me, you can get it as a bundle, and the scent cards will be attached to the back cover, so that you can still pick your path or choose your trail and still smell what the characters smell during the story. There's little notations in the story along the way that tell you when to pull out a card and smell it. So those will be coming available end of the month. Yeah, they'll have the Tele2 Rings is already on the way, and the second in the series is the Hillman and the Hoot and Woo. That one will hopefully be end of this month, end of November, with scent cards available for that one.
Which is a brand new cryptid by the one and only London Blue. The Hoot and Woo. So yes.
So that's a cool new little series that I'm working on, and those books will hopefully be coming out pretty quickly. You know, at least one once a month for the next few months, anyway.
Very cool idea with the you need to research and develop R&D some names, some sensation cards, like for the senses,
right?
But yes, like very cool idea.
I'm really excited about it. Kind of again, a nod to my childhood, you know, the scratch and sniff and the choose your own adventures, and a little piece of my childhood, a grown up version. The stories.
Choose your own scent.
Right.
Yeah, like that's what you just said exactly is what it brought my mind to, was those scratch and sniff stickers that we all grew up kind of because they kind of worked.
Right. Well, these do. They are actually, like I said, they're actually custom made, and they're sealed in little baggies, and then those little baggies will be dropped in another bag attached to the back cover. So, but the only way to get those obviously is through me, not Amazon, because Amazon's not going to produce the scents and glue them on the back for you.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So, we'll get to where people can get those towards the end again, but if you're watching, I'm sure people will find that very interesting. So my next question for you is, what has been the biggest surprise to you after joining the horror community? And that could be with writing, reviewing, or anything else you'd like to spotlight.
You repeat that question?
What would be the biggest, what was the biggest surprise to you after joining the horror community? And it could be the writing process, the reviewing process, the people you've met along the way. Just anything that stood out to you within the horror community that you would like to mention.
I don't know that I would want to elaborate so much on what surprised me of the horror community, but I will say that I have met a lot of good people in the horror community that have become friends, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we just touched on it recently. I mean, you and I met because of it, but also you were looking for an editor. I'm really swamped, so I couldn't do any editing for you. So I got you hooked up with Tasha Scheidel, who is also my editor on a few things. So it's just those kind of connections, I think, that really
Right. Right. That's why I say I've met a lot of great people. Yes. Tasha edited this one.
Yeah.
And she, or the Telechi Ring, she edited that one.
Yeah,
And she edited the Hillman and the Hoot and Woo. The little pick your path tale. So she's great to work with.
Yeah. I've argued with Tasha. Like, you talked about arguing with your editors or questioning them.
Yeah.
Like, she'll make a suggestion. I'm like, you sure about that? She'll like, pretty sure. I'm like, you really sure? And she'll be like,
Right. Right. Well, the Hoot and Woo, the Hillman and the Hoot and Woo, I told her up front, I said, are you sure you want to tackle this one? I said, it is a editor's nightmare. I said, because the characters in the story are hillmen, or more slang, hillbilly. And they are old school hillbilly. I mean, Lester and Nellie are the grandparents in the story, and they are true hillmen. They literally live off the grid in the hills of West Virginia. And yeah, they talk pert near to where it makes it hard to understand what they're saying, which makes for a fun story to tell.
I broke Tasha in for the hick speak already. Like, but yeah, like, she's well versed in our Appalachian dialect. So
Well, this that one goes pretty extreme, and she questioned me on a few things, or I questioned her on a few edits that she was making. I'm like, no, wait, that's
Yeah.
intentional. I put that in there intentionally to make a point. She was like, oh, okay, well, it works that way, I guess.
Those G's are meant to be dropped off. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
I'll drop off all the G's. You're halfway to Appalachian writing right there. So.
Exactly. But no, she's great, and I appreciate you introducing me to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully she'll continue to edit the little Appalachian adventure books for me, and may even if I ever get it finished, I need to get it finished, is the second in the Appalachian Scary Tales book, Appalachian Cryptid Tales. And that one I have to get finished hopefully by the end of 2025, because that one was there's going to be 2 stories in that I had challenged. I guess it's okay if I go ahead and talk about the Write with Blue competition.
I think we've talked about it publicly in the past, so here it shouldn't be a problem. So.
Yeah. I challenged 2 private schools, 2 local private schools. I challenged them to write me a scary, spooky, cryptid story. And they delivered. And yeah, we had a small panel of judges, which was me, you, RJ Rolls, and Nick Roberts. And between the three of us, we chose one story from each school. And both of those stories, the one by Elijah Goodlett and one by Vinny Deal, and both of those stories are going to be published as bonus material in my Appalachian Cryptid Tales, which is the second in the Appalachian Scary Tales series.
Yeah.
So I really need to get that out so I can get their stories published. However, their stories are also published in the Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails commemorative booklet.
More on
And
that later in this interview.
yeah, that brings us to the Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. The whole theme of that was based on that student Benny Deal's story, The Lantern Man. So
Yeah, that's, and I remember reading the stories. I think it was at the beginning of the year that we went through those around January. And so 10 months is a long time. And that
yeah,
Lantern Tale is the one that sticks out to me. So I think it was universally between the three of us, the one that we absolutely loved.
yeah, yeah. The Lantern Man by Benny Deal and The Screecher
The Screecher.
was the other one.
So yes.
Yeah.
Bright,
They,
hopefully bright futures, bright writing futures for those two individuals as up and coming authors.
agree. And one thing that's cool is about the commemorative booklet is I also had a student editor who did preliminary edits on the book. Holly Peterson, a student from, I believe she was from South Charleston. She was going into South Charleston High School.
Yeah.
She did preliminary edits, and that's one thing that I'm really pushing. I've really been pushing this past year, and I plan to encourage and promote in 2026 is creativity from among young people. You know, our young adults, whether it be writing or editing or music or songwriting or sculpting or painting. I really want to promote our young adults in the arts and help encourage them any way I can.
Yeah, fostering their creative endeavors so that they do pursue them.
Absolutely, because the school systems are always threatening. Oh well, we can't afford to have the fine arts, or we've got to drop the art classes or the music classes or what have you. And I want our young people to realize that the arts is a very important. It's not even just creativity. It's not just a mindset. It's literally a way of life. I mean, through the arts, we express history, we express religion, we express social relationships, we express. I mean, the arts is life. I mean, that's how we express life.
It is. That's that's. I mean, I think most people around our bubble understand the importance of the arts, but there might be the layman's out there that they don't realize that that's your music, that's your movies you watch, that's your TV you watch. Those are foundation built from the arts, which is the writing, the people that used or may have designed something or created the music that you're listening to. So
100%, and it's how we preserve history as well. It's how we preserve history, our culture. I mean, yeah.
Traditionally or originally, like oral tradition. We finally created the ability to start writing this stuff down. So, and then how many, if you're from this area or you, I would ask how many folks grew up hearing stories of local legends or even family histories and things, and has that ever inspired those people to pick up the pen and start writing their own tales. So it's all in the arts. So
100%.
I
Agree.
applaud your efforts for fostering those young folks and giving them a voice and a space to express themselves. So you should feel great about that. And as always, I'm always there to help you whenever you need me. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
um oh, this one's a fun one for everybody that answers it. And I think I know where you this might be. I mean, this is a fun one. This is why it's fun to ask writers. Pantser or plotter?
Oh, I'm definitely a pantser.
Or a hybrid of both. So
I'm definitely a pantser. I will get an idea and I will run with it. Yeah, no. If I go trying to plot and write down and make notes, then I lose my inspiration and my run. Once I get started, don't stop me. Just let me keep writing, and I get excited to see how those characters take the story. I mean, it's literally like watching a movie unfolded or play in my head, and it's like, again, referring back to the Mass Mayhem Maladies, and I don't know why I keep referring back to that book, because literally there's so many things that I would change in that book today.
Yeah.
Mainly editing type stuff and adding a little more description and stuff, but that brings me back to Mass Mayhem, because in the story Ashes to Ashes, the character goes and gets involved with the freaking mob. The mob, I don't know anything about the mob. I had to go and I had to set the whole thing aside and then start doing research.
Yeah.
But it was really fun being able to just let the characters take the story and run with it.
Right.
It's kind of fun just to watch it play out, see how it goes.
Yeah. That's always a fun question to ask authors and then see how their processes are. But plotter through and through. I started adding, it's always been plotter or pantser, but also it seems the evolution of the writer today is more of almost a hybrid approach to different things. But it just
I'm definitely 100% a pantser. Yeah, and like I say, in fact, I get a little irritated when I have to stop and put the work to side just to do research.
yeah, because
But I
that
do when I need to. I do my research when it's necessary. So
absolutely. So, there's a second part to this question, which is what type of subgenres do you tend to write in, and what are some subgenres that you haven't written in but you would like to in the future? So, a two-part question. What's your typical writing style, and what writing styles would you like to tackle in the future?
hmm.
I mean, obviously Appalachian, probably folk horror.
Yeah,
You do some
yeah.
cryptids.
I would like to get a little more into more like you say, folklore, Appalachian folklore. Um, I've never really written anything that was too deep into the splatterpunk gore. So, I mean, once in a while I might write a gruesome scene, but I don't really go all into the splatterpunk. So, I guess that would be one that I have not really written in.
You would like to, or you'd like to dip your toe into?
I've thought about it, but since I am wanting to lean more towards young adult, I'm kind of afraid to start to put something like that out and then continue writing towards a young adult. So yeah, maybe for an anthology or something. As far as me doing a book myself, I would avoid splatterpunk for a book solely written by me.
Right.
But I would entertain the idea of writing a splatter style short for an antho or something.
Okay. I think that's why a lot of authors will consider using pseudonyms,
Hmm.
oh, not to so they don't cross pollinate their audiences.
Right.
I
Well,
think
yeah, because now that my granddaughter and I are more active, we have what's called a story walk here in St. Albans. And it's literally one of the trails in City Park. And they have storyboards. And they put children's book in their storyboards. And you walk along the trail and you read the story. And um, I'm on that board, the story walk board for St. Albans. And I've recently taken my granddaughter up there, and she's 4. She'll be 5 in December. And she and I, as we were going down the trail, she got bored with the book that was on the trail, so we started writing our own story. And I thought that would be so cool. So yeah, I may start writing under a different name and write children's books for my grandchildren. But back to when we were talking about questioning editors and questioning people, that brings me back to that, because one lady who, she wasn't really an editor, she was more of a reviewer um, for a local newspaper, and she got a hold of that very first book I ever wrote, London Blue Presents This One for You. It was my book of poetry. And she said that she had 2 criticisms on that poetry book. One was that right smack dab in the middle of the book, because I had challenged my friends, my Facebook friends, to give me a title of a poem or a subject matter, and I would write a poem. And if it didn't make them feel something, laugh, cry, get angry, if it didn't move them, then I wouldn't publish it. But if I nailed it, then I would publish it and give, them a nod or credit for giving me the idea. So that's hence This One's for You, because it was literally written for the people who gave me the ideas for it. So right smack dab in the middle of that book. There was a lot of heartfelt, funny stuff in there, but right in the middle, somebody gave me the title for me to write a poem titled Pooping Without Paper. And it just happened to fall in the middle of the book. And honestly, it's one of my favorite poems in that entire book. But she criticized me on that. She said that I had a very distinct voice, and that I had I was a great writer. But she did not like that Pooping Without Paper slapped in the middle of that book. It's still in the middle of that book. I didn't take it out. The other thing she criticized me on was my pen name, London Blue. She told me, she told me that it sounded like a stripper's name and that I should get rid of it. I've been London Blue ever since. Going on, 7 years now. I like it.
if I remember correctly, it's a friend of yours remarked on the color of your eyes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a great name. So
Thank you. Yes,
thanks,
it had to do with my eyes in reference to London Blue topaz stones. It had nothing to do with a stripper pole.
Yeah. But yeah, like I push back on that too a little bit. Like there's friends out there that do use pseudonyms, and they grew their name with generally their original name or the name that they have used as an author from the start, and then they create a pseudonym just for a tangent off of, like, a subgenre off of horror. And I'm like, I don't see why you should do that. You're essentially starting over with a different audience than the one you built up. But because it's not a complete 180 from what they've been writing, it's just maybe a little more extreme or a little more outside the norm of what they generally write. And I generally push back against those just in my opinion, because if you're writing
Mhm.
horror, you're writing horror. It's all encompassed under the same umbrella. But like you're wanting to do, if you're trying to dive into a very much more younger audience,
Right.
that would be the case that I would say yes. That's when you do want to create a separate name for those types of books so you do not cross pollinate with your audience. You don't want the kids
Exactly.
searching what you've been writing for an adult audience. So
Exactly.
yeah. But like when you're writing horror and you want to write a little bit more extreme horror, why change your name? You know?
Yeah, no, I would write that under the same name if I did that.
So
But
but yeah,
again, I wouldn't put out a book, of just extreme horror under my name. I might, like I say, do a short story for an anthology, but I wouldn't use London. I wouldn't write under London Blue for anything extreme horror as the sole
yeah.
production of my own.
But you mentioned that lady kind of turning her nose up at the pooping without paper story. Be like, hey, I'm versatile. I can
Right,
tackle any subject matter. Here's proof. So
right. Yeah,
as
in
an
that book
author,
there was yeah, in
yeah,
that book there was somebody told me to write a poem explaining death to a child. So there was like some really deep, heartfelt poems in there. But I think the way I divided it, it was split up very nicely. I mean, I had Appalachian poetry. I had This One's for You. I had um, uh, there was different sections in it. Of course,
yeah.
that book is no longer available. The only copies are the ones that I have hidden away in my office. Maybe someday I'll pull it back out and republish it. But um, yeah,
For now, no. But yeah, like that was just always my way of thinking about these things. Like you want you if she was expecting, she it sounded like she had you narrowed into a certain way of writing, and then when you went outside of that, she was like, but as an author, if you're building your author name, you don't want to be pigeonholed into one particular style, genre, subgenre, whatever. You want to,
right. Like you
you know,
don't want to be stuck as Harry Potter for the rest of your life.
right. So you want to, you want to be, you want to have your name associated with good writing. And if you're writing horror, good horror writing.
Hmm.
And whether it's this, that, or the other, it shouldn't come as a surprise to the folks you're writing, the folks that pick up your writing. So like, because the way I've always said this, Robert McCammon is my favorite author, and I've always and in a way, the way that Brian Keene did his works too. Like if you go back and look at Robert McCammon's early works or Brian Keene's early works, you you can see that McCammon did a Nazi zombie book, his first published book, and then he did an almost Stepford Wives book, and then he did a werewolf book, and then he did this. So he was not
Hmm.
putting himself firmly in any one perspective of horror. He was writing the books that he wanted to write, and his audience would find him if they
Right.
like. So that's why I always say, like, look what he had.
No.
But yeah, that's always why I sometimes push back on people that say, "Hey, I'm thinking about using the pseudonym." I'm like, "Well, for you already got your audience as an author right now. You don't want to start over." But yeah, if you're changing completely different age groups,
Right.
I think that's completely acceptable. Yeah, and if you start writing the children's books or young adult, like, hey, in a few years, got some other stuff for
Right?
you. But yeah, so um, lastly on the docket is something very cool that I think people are going to appreciate and hopefully come out to, and that's any events upcoming.
Honey,
So,
you should ask.
funny you should ask. So,
Yeah.
from my side of it, this is the third year of Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. Is it
Correct.
okay, Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. This is the third annual year. You host it in St. Albans, West Virginia, and I believe you have over 60 vendors attending for this year's event. So please tell the folks what all is going on with that, when it's going to be exactly, and um, anything else you want to spotlight for the event itself that's going on.
We do. Okay. Yes. I'm very excited about this event. Again, Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. It's our commemorative booklet, and it's a happy little booklet. There's a lot of stuff in there, and of course, our business sponsors. But yes, the Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. We started this 3 years ago with maybe 12 vendors. Most of us crammed under the one shelter, and we had a couple of canopy vendors at that point. Last year it grew to, we had about 40 vendors. This year we have over 60. Actually, we have 67 registered with us right now. So we're pushing 70 at this point. Very excited about that. The event will officially start at 6 p.m. However, before the official launch, the kickoff at 4:30 p.m. both nights, we will have Tim Wagner, four-time Brahms Stoker Award winner. I mean, you guys know who Tim Wagner is. We are blessed to have him come at 4:30 each evening, and he will be offering a free writing workshop. So that's going to be lit. I'm excited. Then at 6 p.m., our gates officially open, and we will have a registration or information booth. Be sure you stop by there to register for our geocaching activity. We will have, I've already taken all of mine into the other room. We will have special caches hidden around the park, and you register first. Let us know you're going to play. Go and find the caches. Inside the caches, there will be words that will form a sentence that you will have to unscramble and tell me what the sentence is. Tell me what author wrote it in a letter. And the first ones to do that will win some really cool prizes. That will be Friday night only. Then Friday and Saturday night, you can register for a toe tag hunt, where whoever finds the most toe tags by 9:30 p.m. Will win a prize. And whoever finds the toe tag with a severed toe still attached will win a prize. Then we have, Friday night we have DJ. Saturday night we have them, Rockabilly from North Carolina, coming to play live on stage. We will have Stilt Walker. We will have fire performers. We've got so much fun entertainment. I will be doing a mini version of one of my interactive tales, and we have these cool little, oh look, I do have that here. We had these cool little custom-made goblets. Let me show you real quick. Mia with Intuitive Design. Got these cool little custom goblets that will drop charcoal in, and Mia is making 7 safe, non-toxic essential oils that we can drop on the charcoal, so it'll smolder, and the audience will be able to smell what the characters smell in the story. That'll be the first time we ever try this. Instead of the scent cards, you'll actually get a whiff of the actual smoke. So that's going to be cool. Our two winning student writers stories, Elijah Goodlett and Vinny Deal, their stories will be presented as well. Wow, so much fun stuff going on. Runs from 6 to 10 p.m. Tim Wagner will be at 4:30. We also have Jeremy Ambler, actor from The Walking Dead, Wrong Turn. He will be there signing autographs and taking pictures. We'll have a selfie station. All kinds of cool stuff going on. And the cool thing about it, it's all free. It's all free. The only money you need is if you want to go on the haunted trail. It's $5 to go on the haunted trail, which goes to the city parks, St. Albans Parks and Recreation. And be sure you do that because they are the ones that's bringing us to you. So support them by going on the trail. And then obviously shopping our vendors and food trucks. So, oh yeah, we're going to have food trucks too. I'm excited, if you can't tell.
It's just under a week and a half away, so you're
Right.
running around busy as a bee, as always.
It has been crazy around here. We're 8 days away.
So wrangling you into this, it was like, I got this time open. I'm like, done. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, I literally just came from a St. Albans Parks and Recreation meeting before we got on tonight. So, I had to squeeze it in when I could, and I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is next Friday for anybody watching currently. It is October 10th and 11th in St. Albans City Park in St. Albans, West Virginia. So
correct.
See, I know stuff. I remember stuff. I mean, technically, like if I lived closer, I would be trying to help you out any way I can. But we live about 2 hours apart, so
right.
But
you're going to be there. You'll be a vendor there, slinging books, autographing.
Absolutely. There'll be some giveaways with some books, and I put in the giveaway a book featuring yourself, myself, and also Jason Nicky, who will be a vendor at this event. So
yes,
I will get it triple signed by the three of us. So whoever wins that will have a triple signed book from 3 local Appalachian authors.
Yes, and I appreciate your donations. Yes, we have several books that will be up to win. We have an autograph picture of Melanie Kinnaman, final girl from Friday 13th Part 5. We have coupons for or free passes to get in Mike Windland's House of Studios or House of Selfies studio. Those I think are like worth $25 a piece. We've got 2 free dinner or 2 free gift certificates for the cafe down here on Old Main, $40 a piece. If you haven't had their salads or cheese fries, you got to. It's awesome. We've got a lot of cool prizes. For sure.
Awesome. So if folks are looking to kick off spooky season in a big way, I suggest you get to Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails in St. Albans. So.
Absolutely.
This is that's like it's like a very multi-part section of the wrap up. So that was the first part. The second part is, what are you working on and when can people expect something new from you? You talked about the 2 Rings book, so hopefully
Tell It 2 Rings, hopefully that will be at the Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. The commemorative booklet will be out at the Moonlit Tales and Haunted Trails. The Hillman and the Hootenwoo, the little interactive tale booklet with scent cards, that will be available hopefully by the end of the month. And Appalachian Cryptid Tales the second in my Appalachian Scary Tales series. Hopefully that will be out by the end of no later than the end of December. And then I've got other books already still in the working in the making. So yeah, keep an eye out because there's a lot of books still coming out. Hopefully something maybe at least once a month for the next few months.
So busy bee as always. Tell folks where they can find you and your works.
Well, my books are on Amazon. It seems to be difficult to find. So when you go to search me on Amazon, be sure you put in one of my book titles. Mass Mayhem Melodies, The Last Call, The Tabar, Appalachian Scary Tales, Baby Jen. So you can find me there. On Facebook, London Blue, leave off the E. I don't know why Facebook decided that if I put the E on blue, then it wasn't a real name. So
Yeah.
if you go to my homepage or my profile page on Facebook and you scroll down to the website links, you can click on the links and it'll take you to different social medias and the actual different links to my books on Amazon. Also, I'm trying to be more diligent, and after this event, I'm going to work more on my actual website, wvlondonblue.com, and that's where you will go to buy the Appalachian Adventure, Pick Your Path Tales, or Choose Your Trail Tales with the Saint cards. Also, you can find my events. I will start working more on that website so that you can find my events and books there easy. But yeah. So Facebook is where I spend most of my time because that's where I have most of my friends. But I promise I will start working more diligently on my website. So wvlondonblue.com.
All right. So there you go, folks. This is where you find her and support Miss London Blue. So you know what to do.
Appreciate it so much.
No problem. That's all we have for tonight, and it was good talking to you. And I will be seeing you very shortly. And
Very soon.
hopefully we see a bunch of the other folks there as well. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope you have a good one.
Thank you. Good night.